When the sun has set on a Friday night, bringing peace into your home, families will gather all around singing Shabbat Shalom. Everybody sing Shalom, Shalom. Shalom, shalom. Is a gift from God, so put a smile upon your face. He's got the whole world in his hands, so obey his commands and you will know peace. Shalom, shalom, Shabbat shalom.
Hi, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. My name is Rabbi Ron Goldberg, and I welcome you to our Shabbat services. As always, I'm joined by Rabbi Karen Binder over on the Gransell Village campus. Shalom, Rabbi Binder.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi Ron, and Shabbat Shalom to all of our dear friends.
You know what I like best about Shabbat, in all seriousness? There's a lot of things, and I certainly like the food, and we'll talk about that some other time. But I like that no matter how the week was, we stop, we pause, and we put all of that down, and we welcome in Shabbat. For me, that's the best part. How about you?
Your words are beautiful, Rabbi Ron, and it makes me just want to take a deep breath. I think I'm actually going to right now, just to go. If everyone wants to join, take a deep breath. And we bring in not only Shabbat, but a sense of shalom, in the purest sense, peace. Because I think you're right, whatever happened this week, and also whatever's going on outside of us, we can always seek peace within. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh, Baruch Hu.
Oh, thank you. So lovely, so lovely. We mark the difference between Friday afternoon and the calm and peace and the holiness that is Shabbat by lighting candles in order that we sanctify time. So we take our candles.
Here we go, lighting the Shabbat lights.
Yeah, if everybody wants to join with me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. And now we lift our cups, and I know that you'll all be having Kiddush later, but we'll make the blessing now because we're together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam v'ovrei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzav banu v'shabbat kodsho be'avahu v'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'mahaseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila levikra'ei kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim ki banu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim ve'shabbat kodshecha be'avahu v'ratzon inchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
Amen. L'chaim.
L'chaim.
We make motzi over the challah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen.
You know, a little Torah study as we begin Shabbat. This week's parsha, of course, is Tetzaveh. And Tetzaveh is a command. It literally means you shall do, or you will command. And there's two things I found that I really kind of liked. The first one is the idea of every congregation is going to have a ner tamid, an eternal light. And I remember when I was a youngster, the old timers saying, all I need to daven with, all I need to pray with is an Oren Kodesh, the Holy Ark, and a ner tamid. And this is where they get this from, this idea that there will always be a light burning. And this light will be a symbol of the conductivity between the children of Israel, the Jewish people, and God, that this connection will always be there eternally. So when you go into a synagogue, no matter what time of day or night it is, that light is always lit. I'm intrigued seeing some of these nowadays that have solar-powered eternal lights. I think that's very cool, but it's always there. It's always lit as the symbol of the perpetual connection between the children of Israel and, of course, us and God.
I love that, Rabbi Ron. And the phrase ner tamid is so poetic in the Hebrew. And, you know, translators always have some, leeway on how to translate. The word ner, in modern Hebrew means candle. But in the biblical sense, meant light, or flame. And ner tamid means all the time. That's what that word means, all the time. So sometimes I like to translate a ner tamid because we're so used to hearing eternal light, not really thinking about it. I like to translate it very literally as an all the time light, an all the time light. And if you think back historically, it's only a little over 100 years or so. I don't even know exactly that we have electricity. And before that, in every ner tamid all over the world, it was someone's job. You could call them the shamish or somebody who, in the biblical era, it was the Kohanes. Someone's job to keep the light lit all the time. That meant that someone had to very carefully add oil to these lamps because, of course, they were lamps for many, many, many centuries. And think of the honor of that role and also the responsibility. And you could say the pressure. Can you imagine, you're that person in charge of keeping the light going all the time and, you forgot to refill. And everyone's like, oh, no, the light went out. I mean, it's unfathomable. You never let that light go out. And that has a kind of a spiritual symbolism, too. Don't you think, Rabbi Ron?
Well, two things. First off, I'm visualizing that guy, that poor unfortunate who allowed the light to go off. You talk about failing in a very public space. So certainly that's both honor. There's certainly a lot of honor in that job, but also a lot of pressure. And yes, I was thinking immediately about that spiritual phrase, the eternal connection. So how do you keep that connection going? That's the light is lit. How do we keep it lit? What is our active part in maintaining the connection. And
yeah, and I
becomes
also
the
think of the prophets who, who said that we're supposed to be a light unto the nations, that as a Jewish people. And that theme of light in the darkness, it weaves throughout the tradition, and it raises the question, how can each of us individually also be a light wherever there's darkness? The truth is, I'll speak for myself, I would love to be lit up all the time, an all the time light. I would love to maintain that, where everywhere that I went, I brought light and joy. But we're human beings, and we can't always sustain what the Talmud describes as a cheerful countenance. We can't always be in the positive. We kind of have to share that responsibility or pass it around. Sometimes we need to complain, right? And we need to bring a little bit of darkness. Sometimes we just need to. And so what do you think the Torah wanted from us? Are we being asked, each of us, to be a Ner Tamid?
I think you've hit a really good point in that when everything is said and done, we are human. We embrace our humanity. And sometimes we have to see darkness to appreciate light. We have to know down to value up. And I think when everything is said and done, Torah often gives us an ideal, a goal, something to aspire to, knowing that we're going to miss the mark. Knowing that in our humanity, we're not always going to succeed. The goal might be the easy one: honor your mother and father. That's the goal. That's the stated commandment. Okay, I'll confess, I didn't always succeed in the way that I would have liked to succeed. And I think the Torah's goal to us is to give us a target to aim for, a goal to reach, and that it recognizes that we're going to spend a lot of time trying to get there.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that particular mitzvah, because most of our community can't change that seemingly, right? You treated your parents how you treat your parents, when in fact, that's a good example of being a Ner Tamid, because regardless of what happened then, every time you do a mitzvah, every time you're kind and loving and nice, you're honoring your parents because you're celebrating their name, right? The other thought that comes to mind for me is the Torah says that they should go up, la'alot. They should ascend to light the Ner Tamid. And this idea of ascending is interesting to me, because you kind of, you're either going to kind of stay flat, or you're going to decline, or you're going to ascend, right? Now with our bodies, we're all going to descend. We're all declining. That's just how it is. Well, not a toddler or a young child, but anyone over 40, let's say. And certainly for those of us whose bodies have become frail, the body might be either slowly or quickly descending, but our spirit can ascend and can be like that light.
Oh, very nice. I like that. I like that an awful lot. There's another part of the I'd like to share. The rest of the parsha spends a lot of time describing I want to say the costuming, but maybe better the outfitting. Is that a better way of putting it?
The formal garb. The formal garb.
All right, I like that.
Okay.
The formal attire of the priests. And I admit it, not being a fashionista, it didn't really speak to me. But what did speak to me from that was something, my father used to say to me all the time. I would want to go to junior congregation dressed in Levi jeans. I thought that was the way to go. And he would constantly have to remind me, no, go change out of those, go put on a good pair of slacks, take off that t-shirt, put on a shirt, put on a shirt. And by doing this, he used to teach me, you're honoring the place, you're honoring what you're doing. And I think when I look at the amount of detail the Torah describes the formal attire, that's the admonition to us, is that by the attention we pay to detail and how we conduct ourselves in that space is what makes it holy.
Yeah, I think it's also helpful to remember that in those ancient times, right, they didn't have television, they didn't have movies, and by way of visual entertainment, and I don't want to trivialize what happened, but when the Jewish rituals occurred, they were done by the Kohanim on behalf of the community. And there was a certain amount of, let's call it religious or spiritual theater to it. There was, and people wanted to look upon the Kohanim and admire them and be inspired and unified. And, part of what they had were these breastplates that represented each of the tribes. So you felt that your tribe was close to the heart of the Kohen, as it were. And so, you can kind of picture all this and realize that they were trying to beautify the mitzvah of the community so that people would want to be a part of it. And it's a little hard to relate to for us as modern people because we certainly don't perform anymore. Rabbis don't perform the way that Kohens did. And the Shaliach Tzibur, the person leading services now, is really just trying to get people to participate more than, let's say, to perform.
Oh, but let me add to that. The dean of my rabbinic school, Rabbi Brad Artson, often used the phrase sacred theater. And the more I began to see it through the eyes that he wanted us to see it through, the more sense it made. That, okay, the Shaliach Tzibur is trying to get people to participate, but one who is truly gifted in that can raise the congregation up, can elevate that prayer, can elevate the communal singing and enjoyment and fulfillment. What is the Torah procession? When we take the Torah around the congregation, again, sacred theater. I think when it's done right, I think we also value it. How about Sukkot and the shaking of the lulav? Yeah.
Yes, although I will say that those have a lot to do with participation because everybody gets to shake the lulav and esrog, you hope, and everybody gets to touch the Torah, you hope. But I think that you're right. It's like what do you call it when there's theater where the audience is participating?
The theater in the
interactive theater, as it were.
Okay.
I think they call it that, right? I remember when I saw the musical or the play in New York, Tony and Tina's Wedding, and the audience were treated as if they were guests at a wedding, right?
Oh, sweet.
Except that with our religious celebrations, we're not playing a part. We're really present, and we're all looking for closeness with God, with each other, and with mitzvot that inspire our lives.
Very good. Very nice. I like that. We welcome the Shabbat again with song, with singing, and with welcoming the angels of Shabbat, Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, nekabla, lecha Dodi.
When we recite Shema Yisrael, it is one of those touchstones, foundational things that people, no matter how far they might get away, they might say, Rabbi, I haven't been to synagogue in X number of years. The Shema stays with us. It is such a cornerstone of faith. It's an affirmation of faith. And I think it's one of those things that we internalize on a very, very deep level. We recite the Shema in the evening.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God. Adonai is one. I want to locate us on the Jewish calendar, if I may. The month of Adar began last week. And this is a special year where we have 2 months of Adar. For those of you who are not familiar with the Jewish calendar, imagine if you had to add an entire month in order to keep the calendar intercalated, like we add February 29th. Well, that's what we've done. The rabbis have organized the calendar so that it stays intact. And it's interesting that of any of the months they could have chosen, any of the months of the year, that they chose the month of joy and happiness as the month to bring a second session of. So we have, instead of about let's say 30 days or a little less than 30 days, we have almost 60 days. And this is what the rabbis said about this month. Okay? They said, Mi shenichnas ba'adar marbim simcha, which means whoever brings joy into the month of Adar, simcha, like, oh, what a simcha, what a happy occasion, right? Whoever brings joy in the month of Adar, whoever enters the month of Adar, pardon me, increases joy. Marbim b'simcha, they make joy very massive. Rabbi Ron, what does that mean to you, that phrase, marbim b'simcha?
So the idea of increasing joy, how do we conduct ourselves in a way to bring joy to ourselves and to the world around us, to our families, to our friends, to our community? What do we do? And here we have a whole month, or 2 months actually, dedicated to that, right?
Yes, it's true. I mean, what do you do? Do you just tell jokes? What's the secret?
I happen to like humor. You and I were talking earlier today about telling a joke. What does that mean? And so when I like to tell a joke, but I also love dearly hearing somebody who knows how to tell one. I love listening to that too. And when I smile, when I laugh from my belly, that's joy. That takes me away from whatever else is going on, and I'm enjoying joy. Right.
Okay, well, I have one for you. Can I?
Go ahead.
Okay, this guy's walking by a store, and it says, "Talking dog, $10." He becomes very curious. He walks into the store, and he sees a dog there. He doesn't actually even see a person. He only sees a dog. So he walks over to the dog. He's looking around. He doesn't see anybody there. So he just says to the dog, "Dog, speak." Well, the dog says, "Let me tell you about my life. I've been around for a long time. I was actually the dog of the President Abraham Lincoln. Then I was the dog of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Fast forward, I was the dog of Marilyn Monroe. Back to the presidents, I was the dog of JFK." Well, the guy starts to go crazy. He's like, "Oh my gosh, this dog can talk." And he says, "Hey, anybody here? Anybody here?" Well, the owner of the store comes out very, casual and relaxed. And the guy says to him, "This dog can talk. This dog can talk." Owner says, "Yep, he can talk." And then the guy said, "Are you actually selling this talking dog for $10 like the sign says? There's got to be a trick here." I said, "No, you want him? You can have him for $10. $10? I can have this dog. Wow, I can't believe you're selling this dog for $10. Why are you selling this dog for $10? And the owner of the store said, "Because he's a liar."
See, that's what we call a creep, where it sneaks up on you as you begin to internalize it.
It does. Should we unpack the joke?
Please do.
Well, so here's the thing, right? The guy can't believe that he can get a dog for $10, right? And the whole thing is absurd. Dogs don't talk and all that. And then the hook is, the punchline is, well, he's a liar. Like as if that would somehow take away the value of a dog that can carry a conversation. Like that's the issue.
I feel tempted to try to tell a joke, but I'm not sure I want to follow that one.
You don't want to take a chance? Should I try one more?
No, I'm going to stop you. I'm going to give one a shot.
Okay, go ahead.
So Burl is a very devoted grandson. He worries about his grandmother, but she lives alone. She doesn't get out much, and he worries that she's not getting enough contact. So he buys her a parrot, but not just any parrot, but a parrot that speaks Mamalotion, who speaks Yiddish.
Wow.
Exactly. How common can that be? It cost him a couple of dollars, but for his beloved grandmother, for his beloved, Bubby, it was worth it. So he has the parrot delivered, and he calls her a few days later, and he says, "So, Bubby, what did you think of the parrot?" And Bubby says, "Delicious."
That's funny. Okay, this is a true story. I was at I didn't know you were going to tell that story, honestly.
Okay.
But that was a great joke. Wait a minute. Are parrots kosher? Let's talk about this for a second. Are parrots I'm not sure.
They're not a bird of prey, but
They're not. They might be kosher. I have to look it up.
I'm going to go with not discussed in Torah because our ancestors of blessed memory didn't know that parrots existed.
Maybe. I mean, you really don't want to eat a bird that's so beautiful. But anyway, so I'm at the post office. This is a true story. It was this week, and I'm standing behind a guy who has a box, and the box is making sounds, which is disconcerting. He's in front of me in line. His box is on the counter. I'm hearing like, and I'm thinking, am I crazy or is that box moving? Then he scooches over to the side to make his payment, and the box that he's shipping says on it, live birds. I'm not making this up. So anyway, I took a picture. I had to take a picture of this, and I sent it to a friend of mine who writes comedy for television. And I said, this really happened. Feel free to use it in a sketch. And he said, did you know that it's legal to ship birds and it's legal through the post office? It turns out it's also legal to send bees through the regular mail, and it's legal to send scorpions through the mail. So I said, who's shipping scorpions? That's crazy. Well, apparently some people are using the scorpions for research. So I said, if I'm on an airplane with a scorpion and the oxygen masks come down, I'm definitely saving myself first.
As you should.
Yes.
As you should, yeah.
Yes. All right. Well, I don't think I can beat that one, but I'm not gonna try to beat one. I'm gonna tell a corny one. Are you ready?
Okay.
All right. These two cannibals. Well, first of all, let's define what is a cannibal. Do you want to define what a cannibal is?
So a cannibal is somebody who eats his own.
Right. A cannibal eats people, a human who eats humans, right? Okay. So these two cannibals are eating a clown. And one cannibal says to the other cannibal, is it just me or does this taste funny to you?
The classics never go out of style. It's true.
They don't. Please forgive me. All right. Anything else you want to say about this month of Adar and lifting up joy?
Well, let me just say this about Jewish humor. One thing that really intrigues me is humor tends to be the Jewish people's way of dealing with almost anything. That there's always that glimmer of humor, and in humor we find hope, and humor is something we should never ever lose.
Right, and it is very special to our people. I mean, like I have this book on my bookshelf. I think I actually have two copies. And I'm sure many people have this book, the Big Book of Jewish Humor. And there are many, many, many books on Jewish humor, and not in any way to denigrate, but just by way of just by way of a fact. You're not going to find a big book of Muslim humor or Hindu humor or Buddhist humor or Christian humor. I don't think that the other major religions, even though we're a tiny religion, but historically we're a major religion, have humor as so central. And it may be because of being marginalized. When you're on the margins, sometimes you can look at things with a keen eye in a way that's different from other people. And many minorities in various cultures produce a lot of comedians for that reason, not only the Jewish people. Shall we continue, Rabbi Ron?
I think so. I think it's a good time to remember those who might not be present right now because they're not feeling 100%.
Right. Okay, so let's make a Misha Beirach for them. Misha Beirach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov Imotenu Sarv Karachav Alea Hu Yivarech v'Yirapeh et Kol HaCholim B'Keilah Shalanu, the Los Angeles Jewish Home. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, send your blessing of healing to all members of our community that are in need of healing. All of our residents that are in need of healing and their loved ones that are in need of healing. All of our rehab patients and their loved ones that are in need of healing. All of our staff that is in need of healing and their loved ones. And all of our volunteers and supporters that are in need of healing and their loved ones, that they should all have a refuah shlema, a complete recovery of body and of spirit, along with all those among the people of Israel that are struggling for wholeness. And we say, Amen.
Amen.
And now a blessing for everyone, the words from the Kohanim, and now from Rabbi Ron to you. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May Adonai guard and protect you.
Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
May Adonai turn his face to you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha veyasem lecha shalom.
May Adonai deal with you graciously and most importantly, send all of us the blessings of peace.
Ken Yeh Ratzon, may it be God's will. Amen. Oseh shalom v'ramav, uyaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Sing with me. Yaseh shalom, shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael.
You know, you thought I'd make it without mentioning the Super Bowl, but I just can't do it. There's a famous movie called Angels in the Outfield, and Christopher Lloyd is playing an angel, and they've made it to the championship game. And one of the players says to Christopher Lloyd as his guardian angel, "Can you help us win? Can you guarantee that we're going to win?" The angel says to him, "No, the game is played on the field." I've had several people ask me if I could say a prayer for the Rams, and it just doesn't work like that. The game is played on the field. My prayer for the fans is that they see a marvelous game played by players playing at the height of their talents and athletic ability, and that the two teams go at it with all their skill, all their passion, and as we say in America, let the best team win. Let everybody go home in safety and joy to their families.
Let me translate for people who are not necessarily sports people. We're culminating the season of football, and the culmination is a big celebration this Sunday with the big game known as the Super Bowl Sunday, and our own Rams, who used to be here in Los Angeles long ago and are back here in Los Angeles, have made it. So there's a lot of excitement here in Los Angeles, all over the city. I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't hear honking. I wouldn't be surprised if you heard honking horns from cars, even around here, though we're not near the stadium. And so, Rabbi Ron, it's fun to see all of the enthusiasm.
Absolutely. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
When the sun has set on a Friday night, bringing peace into your home, families will gather all around singing Shabbat Shalom. Everybody sing Shalom.